Welcome to the Coffee House, where we discuss board games, miniatures, and painting them, not necessarily in that order. If any of those things appeal to you, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. No, seriously. Right now. Go. What are you waiting for? Alright guys, we are winding down towards the end of all the monsters in the core box of Cthulhu Death May Die. Initially, I was going to combine this episode with Cthulhu, but I realized that it would have just been really overly long, so I decided to split them up. So today we are going to tackle the Star Spawn from Cthulhu's Great Old One box. Now, just the only thing I really want to make note is, again, a lot of wet blending. I'm a big fan of wet blending. I love the subtle effect that it creates, that gentle gradient transition of colors. I think it really makes a unit pop. Makes you look like you know what you're doing, you know what I'm saying, for minimal effort. But having said that, the Star Spawn and Cthulhu color scheme is almost identical. There's a couple tweaks here and there. Techniques are identical, so pretty much everything I'm doing with the Star Spawn, you're going to see me replicate that on Cthulhu. Other than that, let's jump in. So here we have our Star Spawn, primed 100% coverage in gray. And we're going to take a mixture of Charming Chartreuse and Gunner Camo for the color that we are looking for on this model. So it's basically a 3-to-1 blend, 3 parts Charming Chartreuse to 1 part Gunner Camo. And we're going to just begin covering all this skin on the model. And we're going to do just a little bit of wet blending with the Ancient Honey. So he's got these little pustules on his shoulders and forearms. So while that flesh mixture is still wet, we're just going to paint over that with the Ancient Honey and let the paint blend itself and do the work. And then we're just going to keep moving on, covering that arm in that fleshy color mixture that we've made. Doing the same thing on the forearm with the Ancient Honey. So once we cover it with the Chartreuse and Camo, we're just going to hit it with the Ancient Honey while it's still wet. And again, we're going to do some more wet blending here along the bottom. So at the bottom of his hand, we're doing pure Gunner Camo, and then we're going to wet blend into the rest of the arm, pulling the two colors into each other, creating a nice, smooth, gradual transition. If you've been following along in this series, you have seen a ton of wet blending so far, so you should be feeling pretty good about this. Basically, you're going to pull from the top into the bottom, and then pull from the bottom into the top until there's a nice, smooth transition. And we're just going to keep moving on. Repeat the same process on the other arm, the Ancient Honey over those pustules while it's still wet, and on the forearm, and then we are going to wet blend that Gunner Camo into the rest of the forearm. That dark Gunner Camo, and we're just pulling it down, pulling down, pulling down. And repeat the exact same process on the legs. We're going to go halfway, 3/4 of the way down with our Chartreuse blend, our flesh color, and then the bottom of the feet, pure Gunner Camo, and we're going to blend the two together. Now, up on the top here, I'm doing the same thing that I did on those pustules. So while the paint is wet, I'm hitting it with the Ancient Honey for these little spiny bits. I just wanted to create a little bit of contrast for these to stick out a little bit more. So hit it with the flesh first, and then the Ancient Honey, and then we're going to go ahead and start blending those feet. And repeat the process on the other leg. Hit those spines, and then dab them with the Ancient Honey while the paint's wet. pull that gunner camo up and down, create that wet blend, that smooth transition. And we're just going to finish up the rest of the skin. Make sure you get underneath these tentacles up here. Now we're going to take that gunner camo and we're going to apply it to the face. So make sure you get some good coverage up here. You'll want to work relatively quickly because that's not all we are going to do up here. While it is still wet, we're going to add some Crusader skin just to the front of the face. And you're going to want to go back to the paint a couple different times. I'm just going to smear it all along the front of the face. This is going to create a fun little lightning effect. It's really going to draw attention to the front of the face. And when we paint the eyes later, it's really going to help them stand out. Now we're going to take that same Crusader skin and we're going to begin applying it to these tentacles protruding from his face. I'm going to go a little heavy on the paint here. Make sure it pulls into those crevices, creates that nice texture that we're looking for. Now while that's still wet, we're going to apply some purple alchemy at the base of these tentacles, and we're going to pull it into the tentacles. Just like so. And then basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be alternating between that Crusader skin and that purple alchemy. Going to drag that Crusader skin across, and then we're going to dab those tentacles with the purple alchemy, especially along the tips. It's going to create a nice fleshy pinky color. Looks pretty gnarly. We're going to do the same process on these tentacles protruding from his mouth, although we're going to go a little heavier with the purple alchemy that we're dabbing them with. So you're going to base it with the Crusader skin, and then while it's still wet, you're going to go over it again with the purple alchemy. Now for these interior tentacles that are closest to his body in the center here, we're just doing pure purple alchemy. No Crusader skin here, just the purple alchemy. Crusader skin base, and then go over it again with the purple alchemy. Trust the process. Let the paint gel together and mix together. promise once it dries, it's going to look great. So we're going to take the same gunner camo, because we're going to start the wings, and we're going to do some aged hide as well. And if you've been following along, you've seen me do a lot of wing work. So we're going to hit the spiny bits of the wing with the pure gunner camo, and we're going to let that paint run onto the fleshy bits of the wing. And then while it's still wet, we're going to apply that aged hide and blend the two colors together. Just wet blending the wings here. We're letting that gunner camo bleed into that aged hide to create a natural, gradual transition of color from the spine into the fleshy bit of the wing. You're going to do the exact same thing on the back side of the wing. We're not being careful here. We want that paint to bleed. And then while it's wet, apply that aged hide, smear it together. Let it bleed into itself. Paint does 90% of the work for us. Do the exact same thing on the other wing, front and back. The important thing is to keep your brush moving while the paint is wet. And from there, we're going to take some demonic yellow just on the tip of our brush, and we're going to dab these little pustules that we hit with that ancient honey earlier and blended. Just a little dab. You don't need much. Now we're going to go ahead and with our matte white, we're going to pick out the claws and the toenails. While we're waiting for those to dry, we're going to take some pure red and we're going to begin working on the eyes. So just a little bit on the tip of your brush, and we're just going to dab those eyeballs with the pure red. We're going to let the sculpt and the brush and the paint do the work for us, just ever so gently. We're going to dab it across. See how I'm applying virtually no pressure here? And I'm going to do the same thing with demonic yellow. I'm just going to do a little dab over that red. Now we're going to return to the claws and toenails with some bony matter now that the white has had time to dry. And we're just going to apply generously. And if you've been following along, it's going to look something like that. All that's left now is to blacken the base with our matte black. You're going to black the base and the rims, of course. And that's all she wrote. Beautiful. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following along. Thank you for painting along. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. I really love these models. even though there's so many tentacles. But I guess that just comes with the Lovecraftian territory. If you are following along, if you are having fun, please consider checking out my Patreon down below. For about the price of a cup of coffee every month, you can help me keep my lights on and these videos cranking. Special shout out to my top tier patrons, Tyler, Steven, Dan, JB. You guys are my heroes. I sincerely appreciate you. Again, thank you all for watching, subscribed or not. I genuinely appreciate all the comments, all the likes, all the love. It seriously helps me out. It makes me happy. I'm genuinely enjoying this, and you guys are helping me with my dreams. So thank you so much. Comment down below any questions that you might have, if you have any issues, if I'm doing something right, if I'm doing something wrong, if I need to tweak something to make these videos more enjoyable for you. Please let me know. I'll be happy to do my best to oblige. Other than that, guys, again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.